Hello, my name is Peter Gantner, and I welcome you to our channel, We, the Web3. I guess you want to know what that's all about, right? Why does this channel exist? Why do we form this? Well, there's a trend that's been taking place. So 10 years ago, I was on a plane ride and came up with this concept of what I called the participatory economy. And that was essentially instead of getting a job and working for a company, maybe earning some equity or investing some large sum of money, 5, 10, $20,000, or, maybe founding your own company. The idea would be that you would simply participate, become a customer. And the way that I came up with this is I helped bring two toy products to the mainland USA in the 90s. One was Pogs, which a friend of mine who went to Hawaii saw them, brought them back, and I said, "This is amazing." And we went out and we taught kids and how to play them, and slammers, and just having a great time. Matter of fact, we were quite successful there. Ended up with licenses like Marvel, and ended up being in all the major retailers out there. Then went from that to a product called Crazy Bones. And again, we sat down, did what we called guerrilla marketing, where we went to schools and fairs and festivals, and we created a math kit where kids would play with the toys. And that blew up. And we actually ended up being in 60 million Happy Meals. It ended up doing tens of millions of dollars in sales in the mainland USA. Big promotion with Target. Um, Rite Aid, which was a drug chain. So we did phenomenal with that. As a matter of fact, the owner, Ty Warner of Beanie Babies, got very upset at one of the chains because they actually did an interview with a reporter saying that Crazy Bones were outselling Beanie Babies at the time, and he got quite upset about that. So the reason why I was telling that story is that's where I realized that me as the founder of the company, I founded it. We did the work. We, found investors and raised money and came up with marketing strategies and all that stuff to get to the kids. However, it was the kids who actually made it successful, right? Our customers. It was we'd go to a classroom and one kid would fall in love with it and he'd share it with his cousins and he'd share it with his brothers and sisters. He'd bug his mom and dad, "Please, mom, dad, take me to the store. I want to get some Crazy Bones." And it was the same way with Pogs. So I realized that in the equation, and this goes for all companies, I don't care if it's Amazon, Nike, Levi's, at the end of the day, it's the customers that have a big reason for products and services and companies to be successful. If it's not for the customers, I mean, think about this. If tomorrow Amazon, everybody just said, "You know what, we're not going to buy from Amazon anymore, we're going to buy over here," Amazon would be out of business very quickly. So the customers, even though we're such a big part of it, and we do get the benefit of the product, we get a product or a service for that. But should we get the opportunity to participate in the ultimate success of it, especially for early adopters? Maybe maybe you've used a brand and before it was ever popular, maybe you were early to Amazon and in 98, 99, you were buying books before they started to transition into the other products and blew up and became this giant company. So the idea of the participatory economy is that you would participate, purchase the product, share on your social media. You would help grow the brand like all brands are built. And in return for doing that, you would receive when a first concept came to it was a royalty. But today, because of blockchain technology, because of Web3, that's why the Web3, because of that technology, blockchain technology, now it would be in the form of a digital asset. So think about this. And this definitely was not the case, okay? But think about it. Let's say that Amazon was formed as a Web3 company. Let's say any of them. eBay was formed as a Web3 company. And instead of them going out and doing it the way that they did it, what if they said, "Hey, if you'll come put up an auction or buy something, let's say eBay, on our auction site, we will give you a digital asset that represents the value that will be created from eBay's business as they grow, and then you would receive that asset, and that belonged to you. You would determine it when you could sell it, or if you held on to it, or what you did with it. Same thing with Amazon. Let's say that every time you bought a book, they gave you a digital asset, and that digital asset represented the value of it. And let's say you were doing that in 96, 97, when the company might have been valued at, a couple of $100 million. I don't know the exact math on it. I haven't looked, but I could do that research. But today, that company now is valued at what? $2 trillion. So if you did it at a couple hundred million, of course, it would be 10x at a couple of billion, 100x at 20 billion, 1,000x at 200 billion, right? And you could see how this could continue to grow and move in that direction, where that asset that you got, let's say at that point it was valued at $1. You bought a $14.99 book, you got $1 digital asset, which was tied to the value of the company. Now, today, that value is $1,000 for that digital asset. And you decided to hang on to it. And maybe you said, hey, I'm going to buy 5 or 6 or 10, or you're an avid reader and you love to buy books. I mean, I think my daughter buys about 20 or 30 books a year. So if she was dealing with it, she would have 20 or 30 of these digital assets. And then next year, maybe you got a half of a digital asset, and the following year, a quarter of a digital asset. Think about, first of all, the loyalty to the company itself. Think about the value that's being created. You're such an important part of it by being a customer. So that was the initial idea and the concept. And then along with it, I said, wait a minute, what if people came together as a community? So we, the Web3, it's not a company, it's a community that we're building to be able to take the idea and the concept of the participatory economy and then use leverage. And that is, the leverage is a group of people. So instead of me going to, let's say, Amazon and saying, hey, give me a digital asset for every book I buy, it would be, hey, we have a community of 1,000, 5,000, 10,000, 50,000, 100,000, 1,000,000 people. And if you agree to give us this, and this, and we have a criteria that's there. First of all, it needs to be a unique idea, needs to be Web3. The community, it ends up with over 50% of the ownership at the end of the day. It has an affiliate program with it. So not only would we get digital assets, but we'd be able to earn some money along the way. So these are the basic criteria. We have a whole list of them. You can look at our website and you can see those. But imagine going with that size community, what we could do. And then think about this for the company. Let's look at this not just from the value of us as community members, but the company itself. Imagine a company that could have a good enough product. It's got to solve a huge problem. It's got to be a great product. By the way, they need to be ready to launch right now, not in development stages, not, doing that stuff, ready to launch right now. But imagine us going with a community of, let's say, 150,000 people who immediately take action, buy their product, use their service, go on their social media, platform, and all of a sudden we all start sharing that out. We all use our commerce to buy the product or service that they're offering. Let's say it was a new energy drink, right? And again, this would be physical, digital products, right? That type of thing. But we all go and bring our business there, and then we go out and we share it. First of all, now that company has instant revenue. And if you've ever watched an episode of Shark Tank, and if not, go back and watch some of the episodes that are there. The second when they say, well, how many sales do you have? And the person goes, I have $4 million in sales. They go, oh my goodness. It really, you begin to see all 5 sharks' minds turning, saying, hey, wow, that's incredible, right? So businesses need a couple things. They need customers. They need exposure, right? Social media exposure, and they need revenue. So the community would bring all of that to them. But for that, we would earn a digital asset that would give us ownership, right? The value of that. And then that could 10x, 20x, 50x, 100x, 500x, 1,000x. So that is the concept between we, the Web3, is building that community, putting it together, and bringing forward the participatory economy and community as commerce. Now, why do we believe the participatory economy is necessary? It's because of what is happening right now with AI. They are expecting for AI to possibly replace 300 million jobs worldwide. What are all those people going to do? Now, some of those jobs will shift into other areas and other parts. It will not be a complete loss, right? I'm not here to make anybody panic, but think about if you were able to engage with, let's say, a couple dozen companies that have the founder. So here's the key. It's not a founder who goes, I want to make myself wealthy. It's a founder that says, I would love to be wealthy, but I want to make my company, my project super successful. And I'm willing to share with my customers. So not all founders will do this. Some like to make $1 trillion or whatever it is. And by the way, I'm a capitalist, so I have no problem with somebody making, large amounts of money. But I love this concept of including the customers in the equation, allowing us to participate and benefit financially because it is such a huge part. Without the customers, the projects would not be that successful. Today, Tesla would not be successful if people didn't buy the cars, right? Amazon would not be successful if we didn't go on and order products and buy stuff from them. So remember how important you are. Let's leverage that and let's build wealth for each other, with each other, in order to change things. So it's a very special kind of founder. There are going to be lots of them that will come up. As a matter of fact, in the crypto space now, there's people like Vitalik. There are people like Reeve. The list goes on and on and on, where they've made themselves wealthy, but they've created much more wealth. I believe Vitalik has less than $1 billion, barely, but right around $1 billion worth of Ethereum. But he created over $350 billion in assets for other people, along with making himself wealthy. It's a new concept. It's a new idea. We're excited about it. We're going to be bringing you stories, innovations, information on this concept and this idea of Web3. So thank you. Please subscribe, join the channel. If you can give this video a like, I would really appreciate it. This is going to help us build a strong community, have opportunities lined up at the door. I would really like to, and I know this is very bold, but I would like to create $1 trillion in wealth for the community, which means we'd have to create a couple trillion because half the value is going to the community, half are going to the founders and employees and all that type of stuff. So we don't want all of it. We just want our portion of it. And so with that half that's coming to us, $1 trillion, do you realize that $1 trillion in value would be $1 million per member for 1 million members? So super excited about it, guys. Please like, share, comment. We're going to be making more videos. Thanks for joining me. We, the Web3, where participation is power and wealth.